Welcome to the Big C podcast series, an initiative of the Algo FM Big Walk for Cancer. I'm Caroline Kelleher, and in episode 3, we are discussing living with cancer. How do sufferers and survivors navigate the emotional and physical challenges of this disease? And with me to discuss this all-important topic is counseling psychologist Tony Müller. Morning, Tony.
Morning, Kelleher.
Thank you so much for being here today. And my other guest is well-known media personality, entrepreneur, mom, wife, and cancer survivor, Shereez Hart. Shereez, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's so wonderful to have you here, both of you. Right, let's get right into it. Tony, I know that this is an area of psychology that you are really passionate about. So let's start. I'm going to start by asking you, what is the typical response to a cancer diagnosis? And obviously, it must vary in terms of the severity of the diagnosis, personality type, age, etc.
Yeah. I don't think there is a typical response, to be honest. I think a lot of the time people just go, there's that shock.
Shock, yeah,
Cancer,
I would imagine.
Irrespective of what it is. So there's first that shock and going through all of that, and then there's sort of, what's going to happen next? How does this all go on? So it takes a while and a bit of processing, and each person is different. Some people, they hear the diagnosis and their immediate thing is, I'm going to fight this. I'm going through. And other people sit and they say, oh, I've got 2 little children. What's going to happen? So there's just really sort of mixed responses to it. But I think the immediate thing is often
the shock
and quite possibly
Shereez?
Yeah, I think shock for sure. I think that initial, I think you just hear the word cancer and it's almost like, wait, what?
It's something we all fear.
Yeah.
So can you talk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think also, I don't even know if you fear it because you don't expect it. And so for me, I feel like the fear came when the word cancer was mentioned. And like you say, I think everybody goes through it because some people get through it at different stages. And for us, our son was 16 months when we heard I had cancer. And so I think your first thought is my baby. My husband's going to be okay. Like he
can take care of himself.
Yes, you just know that everything's going to be fine. But your baby, man. Yeah. And so I think my heart broke because of the uncertainty in that moment. And then the more you get to process it, the more you can steady yourself, the more you can prepare yourself for the fight, the more you can get your mind and your heart ready for what's to come, whatever that may be. So for us, it was definitely shock, heartbreak, and I think dealing with the uncertainty. I think those were the 3 really big emotions that kind of presented itself in the beginning.
And can you share with us the type of cancer, how you, early detection, how did you discover?
Yeah, so I had just stopped breastfeeding. And they say that after you stop breastfeeding, you can get like milk ducts that get clogged. So, feeling little lumps around your boob, that is quite normal. And so initially I just assumed, this is just a clogged milk duct. And after 2 weeks, it had, I don't know if it was in my mind or what, but it almost felt like it got bigger. And so I was telling my husband, like, babe, you know what, this just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And he was like, nope, book yourself in tomorrow, please. Let's just go have it checked. And that's what we did. The very next day, I had gone to the doctor. She had booked a mammogram for me. So the day after that was mammogram. They had found a mass. And at the radiology place, they said, you know what, regardless of what it could be, they would suggest it just gets removed. It is too large a mass. So the Monday, so that started on Wednesday. The Monday, I had gone to a surgeon, and he had done a biopsy. and we had to wait. Sorry, that was probably a Wednesday. So we had to wait all the way through to the next Monday because he got the results on Friday, but he didn't really want to put us through that on a Friday and then have to deal with that throughout the weekend. So on Monday, he called us in and he let us know that I have breast cancer, and the process for me was, in my mind, firstly, we literally went in there thinking, this is a benign mass. We're just going to have to remove it because, it's probably milk related or whatever the case may be. So there was that also, again, like shock. And immediately my first response was, all right, I'd like it removed, please. Because for me, and again, like I know different people go through different emotions in terms of some people need to process. For me, I just felt like action was going to be best for my peace of mind. And I think also you think about cancer and all you hear about it is fast growing cells.
Yeah.
So the word fast was just really playing in my mind. And so the surgeon thankfully said that he could clear out his calendar in the morning if I'd like to go in at 8 the next morning. And I was like, yes, thank you. The sooner the better. I'd go that afternoon if he said he could. And so that was our process. So immediately had it removed. The interesting thing about that process is that you actually don't know anything about what to do when you get cancer. I didn't know if that was the best route, but I knew that it was the best one for me. Yeah. I didn't know what people do. Do people see oncologists first? Do they go to surgeons first? Do they go to their psychiatrists first, like psychologists first? Like we didn't know what the first was, but we did the first that felt comfortable for us. I think we also didn't really think about it much. Is that common or?
It is quite common, is it, that idea of just get it out.
Yes.
Just get it out as fast as you can. Because it feels like, well, then I can move away from this diagnosis.
Distance myself. It's over. It's done. It's out.
Or at the very least, a lot of it is out. So even if it is growing, it will have to start from a little again. I don't know if that's even physiologically correct.
Shereez, were you given the option of we can do? Were you given options?
To be quite honest, I don't know if I even remember them. If I was given options,
I would imagine you are in such a state of shock that you almost cannot think clearly. And to me, it sounds like this all happened in a really short space of time.
Absolutely, it did. And I'm pretty sure I would have gotten options, but my first option was removal. I think that was just
what you wanted.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I think also because from having the mammogram, my mind was already set. Okay, we're going to remove this thing, whatever it is. And so when we found out it was cancer, I was like, even more so, okay, it's coming out. So I'm sure I was given options. I think in the moment, though, I don't quite remember them because my mind was already on the choice that we'd made the week before.
And the impact upon the family unit, upon work. I mean, Tony, somebody gets a diagnosis. You have cancer and you have to have treatment. And then you've got to take into consideration their job, the family dynamic. It is the psychological and emotional impact must be huge. Can you talk us through, do you ever do group counseling with a family?
Seldom,
yeah.
Seldom do it, but when I'm speaking with someone who's been diagnosed, then we start to talk about support structures and, all right, sometimes you're not going to be able to take the kids to school. Who are you going to lean on then? Who's, is there a partner? Is there, a lift club that you can go to? Is there someone that can maybe, when you're not feeling well, provide meals? Are there friends?
Yeah, that's vitally important, isn't it?
You kind of start to look at just practicalities to take a little bit of that pressure off. Some people, they want to carry on working, understandably, because otherwise you're sitting at home all day thinking,
Just
I've got
everything
cancer,
playing on your
and,
mind.
everything that's, you've got to go through. So people want to work as long as possible and can work through the whole process, but they need support. And so we also focus a lot on self-care, so that, okay, all right, you can work and you can do as much as you want to possibly do, but how are you going to look after yourself as well? Are you going to take a break when you need it? Are you going to ask for help? Are you going to have a day where you can say to people, I'm not doing today, just leave me be? And because those become coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And they become quite healthy coping mechanisms.
Yes. And I think it also affects different people differently. Like, having met so many people that have gone through this journey, I have met people in the chemo rooms that were experiencing the exact same chemo as me in completely different ways.
Right.
For me, I was taken out. Like, I had debilitating nausea and I had extreme fatigue. And mine lasted. So when I was on... we call it Red Angel. It's once every 3 weeks for 3 months. The first 15 days, which is longer than most, my oncologist said, I was completely out. Like, I could not lift my head off the bed, kind of out. Like, I would have to just try and drink water and just try keep hydrated for those 15 days. And almost like clockwork, on day 16, I'd feel, okay, I'm feeling a little better today.
Yeah.
But then I had a lady that used to sit next to me, and she had zero symptoms.
Nothing.
Amazing.
She was just like, doesn't feel nausea, doesn't feel tired, doesn't feel anything. She's like, I go back to work. I go to work every day. And it's literally just 4 to 5 hour stint when getting her chemo. And then it's back to normal for her.
Right.
And I just thought, like, wow, this is incredible, and how different our bodies are, actually, and how different our bodies react and respond to this.
And you spoke earlier and you said about the unknown.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, I think, in going through the illness is you're not going to know how you're going to react to things.
Yes.
The unknown is every blood test, every scan. It's an unknown, and to explain to people it's okay to be scared.
Yes.
And people say, be positive, it's going to be fine. And you sort of want to say to them, really? Do you know that? So it's okay to say, I'm not doing okay. This is scary for me. And I'm going to allow myself to be scared and just look after myself.
Okay, 2 things. Shereez, you sit here and you look glowing. I mean, you look wonderful. And when you describe to me what you've been through, it's huge. How much of starting out with that positive attitude was really something that got you through? Because I can't begin to imagine what you have been through. And were there times when you were angry, the scenario of, why me? I am so young. I have a young child. And then, Tony, if you can come in there, and how do you help patients to process? There must be so many feelings going through, a cancer patient.
Yes, definitely. But Shereez, I don't know if you went into therapy, but often, that's the space where people can express everything that they feel that sometimes they can't express to friends and family. They're trying to put on a positive face.
And particularly men, I would imagine. If you are the breadwinner and you're the head of the household, yeah.
Got to be strong. So to be able to go into a space where you can say, I'm angry and this isn't fair, and life isn't fair, and and kind of go into that little kid space, which is totally okay, and to kind of throw a bit of a tantrum and to say, I'm really angry at the world, or I'm angry at the cancer, I'm angry at the doctors, I'm angry at whatever it might be, to be scared, to be sad, because you've got to be able to experience all of those things. They're all part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think for us the key, or for me rather, in that moment, it was to make a decision. So
Okay.
I had to process it in a way that I knew that my faith was going to carry me through, but I also had to get myself to the position of whichever way this goes, God is faithful, and He will protect my child and my husband. And so that had given me a lot of peace.
Yeah.
Getting to a position where I was like, okay, Lord, this is what's going down right now. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I know that you do. And so I had to almost just surrender that unknown and uncertainty. And yeah, I just really believed that even in the build-up of this, like you're just thinking about my life, how every part of it has been an equipping to challenges, to any sort of challenges. And so this had just become one of those things. This was now my current challenge, and I was going to deal with it the way I dealt with any and every other challenge that came about, and that was just to surrender and to act on the parts that I could act on. I did seek therapy, but that was only, I think, months into my chemo, so probably about 2 months into chemo, because I think you can prepare yourself only so much.
Yeah.
So my thing was, one of the biggest things for me was the hair loss. Wasn't afraid of it, ready for it. I knew that, okay, on day 14, this is what we were told, the likelihood is your hair is going to go. So the one thing nobody tells you, guys, is that you don't just wake up in the morning and have a bald head. So for some ridiculous reason, I thought that that's how it was going to go down. And so it didn't. It was probably the most challenging, not because the hair was going to go, but in the way that it went. Like, you would literally just run your fingers through your hair and have like a clump of hair in your hand. Or I'd be sitting down after a chemo session just having a chat with my mom, and my hair would be like on my shoulder, maybe just lifted. You know when your hair just rests on your shoulder, and sometimes it just lifts up like that, and then I'd get up and it would just be all over my top. And I'd just be like, wait, what is going on? And I think that was probably the most traumatic, not what was happening, but how it was happening. And because I wasn't prepared for it to happen that way. So you go through all these things, and then you learn as you go through it. And I think that one of the most beneficial things has been to chat to people who have gone through it. And who were currently going through it, because, I could say, I cannot get my head off this pillow. And I had a friend, Jill, who was like, Monday I'm going to work. I'm like, how do you lift yourself up? How does that work? But then also just getting yourself to a point where, okay, this is very personalized journeys. Everybody's bodies respond differently. Everybody's minds respond differently. Everybody processes things differently. And so you have to walk your journey. And you have to take your steps one step at a time. And you have to understand that what you're going through could be completely different to how somebody else is going through it. And it's okay. It's okay to be going through it in that way.
Shereez, with the hair loss, obviously women, hair is part of our femininity, and also with breast cancer, the psychological effect of that upon a woman. Not only have you got cancer, but now you're being told you need to have a mastectomy. That the impact upon a relationship, particularly if you are a young person going through that. Tony, can you talk us through that?
Maybe Shereez can talk from
Yeah.
your experiences.
Yeah, definitely. So I had a double mastectomy. Initially, it was like, it's all good, I'm going to get new boobs. You get yourself to a point where you find all the positives.
Yes.
And then you live them through. But your body changes. And so even prior to the mastectomy, my body wasn't responding the way it would had I picked up a few kilos, and now the thought of having a double mastectomy, what was that going to feel like? What was it going to look like? How am I going to handle this new body? Because it's all these new things thrown at you, a new way of dealing with I think you hit the nail on the head, Caroline, when you said you almost feel like part of your femininity is lost. One of the ladies called her hair her crown of glory. So I was like, that's such an interesting term. And she said, I call it my crown of glory because I feel like a woman when I get my hair done. I feel strong, I feel confident, I feel brave when I know my hair's done. And so I understand all of that, and experiencing it, I think it took some time.
And you have the most stunning look. Your hair's growing back so beautifully now, but
it's
you've
completely
got
different.
Stunning hair.
Do you know I've never had curly hair? I had stick straight hair, and post chemo, my hair almost looks like it's permed. So that's another thing. So now you think you're going to normalize. You think that you're going to go into a space where your hair's going to grow back, and things are going to almost start. You're going to start feeling like you again. And to be honest, I don't. I don't feel like me again. I feel like a completely different person. But I am embracing that.
Okay.
I am embracing this new body. Just for a time period. I'm only giving it a year. I'm embracing the curly hair. I mean, I prayed for curly hair all my life, and now I was like,
me too.
But I was like, Lord, I mean, it's a bit late in life to give me curls, because now I don't know about products, and I don't know. Now I've got a YouTube stuff. I don't know how to deal with this now. But yeah, it's a process. I think the biggest thing with the mastectomy for me was the fear of the actual operation, because it is so extensive and it is so long. And there were moments of also just having to get myself to a place of surrendering that fear of uncertainty. Again, it was it was a constant. Just because you say, today I've surrendered all my fears, doesn't mean tomorrow you're not going to do that again.
Yeah, of course.
So it was a daily process of saying, okay, this is where you're at. This is who you know. And this is how you're gonna move forward. So,
Shereez, did you choose to wear a wig? Or did you feel, no, I'm okay with...
Yeah.
How did you feel?
So I bought lots of wigs because I thought I was going to be. I thought that was going to be me. I was going to wig it out. I bought different styles. I thought I was going to be
blonde
super
one day,
cute.
redhead next.
But I ended up actually finding out more about me in that space. I realized that did I put too much not emphasis, that's the wrong word. Did I put too much on important, that's great. Did I put too much importance on my hair? Like, why was I so reliant on hair making me feel brave, making me feel confident, making me feel good? And it made me question myself and what I stood for. And so the more we went through, or I went through this process. I say we because when you go through cancer, your whole family goes through it. So whenever I speak about it, I always say like we, because if I'm going through something, my husband knows about it, my mom and dad know about it.
Absolutely.
And they're all walking this
Absolutely,
through
yeah.
with me. My brother's girlfriend, like we were all in this together. And so I had then decided, no, like I don't want to live life being reliant on a characteristic to make me feel confident and brave. And the characteristic in the sense was the hair.
Yes.
And then the other thing, sorry, just to throw in there, you forget that eyebrows is hair and eyelashes are hair.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
And so you lose all of it. And then you're like, okay, in your mind I was prepared for the baldness. I wasn't prepared for
the yes.
no eyebrows, no eyelashes. In fact, mine are still growing in right now. So I think for me it was just a decision to not be dependent on what I looked like to make me move forward and engage with people in a confident way.
It's a wonderful observation. Sorry, you're making me feel emotional now, but there is tremendous pressure, Tony, on women, I think. So it's wonderful that you say that you gained this strength and new insight into your character. Tony?
And this is the thing about the journey. The journey's such an individual one. So, like you say, you go through it with your whole family, but everybody's experience is different.
Yes.
They're coming at it, and you're the one that's having to deal with a lot of the things, in a sense, on your own.
Yeah,
trying to come up with those kinds of mindsets of what do I want and don't I want, and where can I have control?
Yeah,
because there's no control over the situation, and like you say, you have to let go, and as human beings, we like to know.
To be in control.
We want to be in control. Yes. And now there's this thing that we absolutely cannot predict at all.
Yeah.
So for you, it was to say, wait a minute, I'm defining myself differently. I'm not going to define myself in those ways. However, there's other people who say, you know what, I'm going to see how many funny hats I can find, and I'm going to try a different one every day, and I'm going to make a thing of it, and something, I want to say, fun out of it, to build in a little bit of humor into such a difficult experience.
Yes.
So it really, it differs from person to person. There's no one particular right way. It's really individual.
Shereez, would you say that there are enough, and I'm not talking about therapy now, because I think even if you don't have cancer, I think therapy is great. There are enough support structures for women, because you've just said, I didn't know what was, and we all need to educate ourselves, not to be obsessed, but breast cancer is the most common cancer among women worldwide. So we do need to be aware. Are there enough support systems for women who are looking to?
Yeah.
Because you are involved with Reach for Recovery now.
Correct. And I think the reason that I am is because I felt like there wasn't enough support.
There we go. Great. Yeah.
I didn't know where to turn. Being a part of Reach for Recovery is a big part of that, because they are a phenomenal support structure for women who are going through breast cancer. But in our city, I didn't know that was an option. And so to bring awareness is huge, because you can't only bring awareness to people who have just found out they have breast cancer. Awareness has to be to women in our city, because God forbid something like this happen, at the very least you'll know where to turn. I need some information. I'm going to go to these ladies. they've gone through this, this, and this. I don't know what my next step is. And, you know, at that point, you'll at least be able to have people to turn to that can not give you direction, not tell you what to do, but share their journeys and give you all the information that we have on file so that you can go off well-informed and a little bit more prepared to make decisions for your life and your body and your way forward.
Also, sorry, Carol.
No, go ahead.
With people, you know, one of the things I say, and I would say whether it's your hairdresser or your pharmacist or whoever, to find the surgeons, the treating providers that you can work with, that you're comfortable to go to. And I always say to people, and a lot of people do it already, is to make notes, or when questions pop up, put it in your phone.
Yes.
Make a list. And record the session with the doctor.
Good, yeah.
Because, like you say, you don't remember. You come out having...
You're in shock and your mind's going in 20 different places.
Yeah.
So rather record it and then you can go and listen to it again afterwards.
Yes.
To hear those things.
And I think that is very important, that who is treating you, who is on your medical team, because I've been of a situation where a patient requested, can I record? And the doctor was most offended. And I think we've had Dr. Kathy Walton on, and we will be chatting to Dr. Ronelle Gower, and they are, I mean, Jill speaks of them, their compassion, you know, it is so important that the person is treated holistically in this journey, you know, so, yeah.
I think also with regards to treatment, you don't necessarily know that you have a choice as well in who treats you. So I had first been referred to an oncologist, and I was not comfortable. And so my husband said, okay, well then we're moving on. Like this, it doesn't matter that this is the person that was referred to you. We're going to find somebody who's going to walk this journey with you, that gives you the confidence in them as well. And I didn't know that. I didn't know.
People don't.
They don't.
When you get a referral, you think, that's the person.
Exactly. And it's not like that. If you're not comfortable, you are able to find somebody that you are comfortable with.
And you should.
And you should, yes, because this is a big, big thing. And it is time-consuming, and it is draining.
Takes
and
over
it is
your
mentally,
life.
Yes. It takes, you're right, Carol Ann, it takes a whole... For me, it's been a year. So I feel super, super blessed to have been able to have gotten a second opinion. And my oncologist is Dr. Kathy Walton, and you are 100% correct.
Wonderful.
She is phenomenal. And with regards to the first meet, you are coming in there like a deer in headlights. You don't know what's going on, but... she explains things so beautifully from start to end. And I didn't quite think about recording the session, but my first session with her, she had written everything down. The first thing she asked me was, do you like to Google? I'm like, doctor, doesn't everybody? Aren't we all those? And she said, fantastic. If you like to Google, this is what you Google. This is your cancer. Don't Google generally. Google this, because this is what we're dealing with you. And that, oh man, that type of clarity just made me feel so secure. You know, it made me feel like I had the right team on board.
Yes.
It made me feel like the right woman was on my side.
Yes.
And it gave me the confidence to fight this thing with an extra oomph, you know?
Wonderful.
Because peace of mind in your physician or your doctor is
must be everything.
Vital.
Yeah.
It's vital. And honestly, she is phenomenal.
Yeah. Jill Foley says the same.
Oh, no. And do you know what? Let me tell you why she's phenomenal. Is that she is not only an amazing person, but she gives you all the facts. She's clear. She's direct. She doesn't beat around the bush. She talks into what we're dealing with. She deals with the disease, and she responds to the person. So, there are two different things. It's not, you are not the cancer.
Yeah.
We're dealing with this, and this is the route we're going to take to eliminate it, or to work towards elimination.
Shereez, would you say, I know for Dr. Walton as well, is that there is always hope. And I think that is what is so wonderful. Tony, would you agree? When we chatted to Karen Brunt in our first episode, who is a 3-time cancer survivor, she said the most important thing is your frame of mind, to have a positive frame of mind. Would you, Shereez, would you agree that that's...
I think so. Yeah. I think for me it was faith-driven. So I knew where my identity lied or lay in. I don't know. My language is clearly not a thing
Don't worry
at the
moment.
about that. So for me it was faith, and I think that having that faith, I knew that the Lord was going to carry me through. Your hope and your positioning and the stance that you take was all, for me, derived from knowing Jesus.
Yeah, wonderful.
So and just to sort of go on about that, because faith is so important, or some kind of belief system, some kind of understanding. There's a lot of people who, when they are diagnosed, struggle with their faith.
Yes, I believe that too.
And then then you sort of lose your way a little bit, because where's the meaning? Because I feel abandoned.
Yes.
And so it's also sometimes about working through that. So the positive mindset, that's where your treating physicians and doctors and so forth are so important, because they're the ones who are going to say, no, we're going to do this. You want them to sound proactive, and they're going to do something, and they're going to explain things to you, as you say. And it's people around you, but it's also to say, you know what, at the moment, I'm also struggling with my faith, with my understanding. Yeah. But I also want to say that I think humans inherently have hope. Sometimes we say, oh, no, I mustn't hope, and the hope is there.
Yeah.
The hope that everything's going to work out, or I'm going to win the race, or whatever the story is. It's there, and it's to just try and access that when things just don't feel so good.
Tony and Shereez, I want to ask you both this. When there's no doubt that if you haven't walked this road yourself, one can sympathize, but to truly walk in somebody's shoes, it's difficult when it comes to cancer. And because we are confronted with it in today's world, all of us are touched by cancer. Your family member, whatever, work colleague, etc. For me, people are getting diagnosed with cancer younger and younger. What do you say to the person? You feel so inadequate. I mean, I've had close family members, I've walked the journey with plenty, but you sometimes feel so inadequate. What do you say that's going to make a difference? Or what do you do?
I don't think anybody can make a difference. I think, and that's where when people hear, then they don't know how to respond.
Yes.
Because the thing is, I have to fix this. I have to make it better. And it's to say,
you can't.
You can't fix it. You don't have to make it better. Just be there for the person wherever they're at.
I agree. I don't think you need to say anything. I don't think you need to feel the pressure to say anything as well. I think that you need to let the person know that you love them, you're there for them. Like you say, it was just the support for me from people. And it was little things like, hey, how you doing? Are you able to read? I've got this book.
Right.
It wasn't even a, how are you feeling? Are you going through something at the moment? It was just practical things, like you said earlier. And sometimes it was just a message saying, thinking about you.
All right, sending love.
Yeah, or I'm here at your favorite, coffee spot.
Can I bring you a takeaway?
It was little. You don't even have to bring it to me. You just have to let me know that you're thinking about me because you're at our spot. So it was really those little things that really made me feel supported. And just for those listening, there isn't anything that you can say. And also, don't put that pressure on yourself because the person going through it isn't expecting you to fix it for them. They're not expecting you to say something that's going to change everything. They're just wanting you to be around. Don't forget the person, because sometimes, like in my case, I was completely removed from society essentially for a year because of the way my body was
responded.
Going through it. And I have an amazing community of family and friends who just were there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, just even in a message. I mean, sometimes my husband went to extremes. Like people weren't coming to the home because, they were worried that my immune system was compromised and there was just a lot going on. And people would come to the gate and they'd have a conversation with him. And, your partners need as much support as you do in these times, because they've also lost their best friend in the way that they know them in that period of time. So they too need just an ear sometimes as well.
Because it's difficult to navigate. Here you are going through something that's life-changing, but your partner's also going through it as well. So, and they've lost the wife who, would come home and say, do you want to go for a hike, or let's take the dog for a walk, or,
Definitely.
It's huge.
So sometimes I actually work with the family member, the partner,
to see what they're trying to process.
They're going through a journey and they're thinking, I don't want to put more on my wife, for instance. And so there's no outlet for me about all my fears about what's happening and how I can't fix this person and I can't rescue her, I can't save her. And they also need their own
support.
Space. Yeah, they definitely need their own space.
Shereez, at what point do you start a business in the midst of all of this?
I think the one thing that you realize when you go through a period of isolation is to go out there and pursue your passion. You are just encouraged even more so to do what you love and to take bold steps in directions that you perhaps were a little bit more reserved on before, and now you get to a point where you're like, wait a minute, things could have ended for me in this year. And, I have been given the opportunity and the absolute privilege and blessing to move forward. I'm feeling stronger and I am ready. So I think that, you're just given this boost of, okay, Lord, I'm going to do all it is that you've placed inside of me to do, and I'm going to love every minute of it. And I think just in general, I really do feel like I lived life like that to begin with. So starting Zest has been a passion project, one of those that you hold off because you think you've got to get everything else done first, and you just got to make sure all your ducks are in a row. Now I'm like, the ducks are everywhere and it's fine.
So if we want to pop in, I think just tell folk what Zest is.
So my husband and I were on cooking show called My Kitchen Rules Season
That's
4.
right. Yes,
And so
watched it.
really did spark something new in the both of us. And so, we were just ignited in the area of food and our love for it and our love for making it and our love for experimenting with it. And so, that's how Zest was formed. Actually, the name I felt God give me because he told me that he had given me a zest for life. And so we were like, all
and
right,
you do.
well, that's what we
you
want
have an amazing
for people.
zest for
we
life.
want people to come in and experience that. We want the atmosphere to be different. We want you to come grab your coffee and grab your bowl of food and leave feeling different.
Wonderful.
Feeling nurtured, because that's
so
what that
great.
is,
Yes.
meals, and that is, it's nurturance.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So I think it's such a lovely thing to provide, and for yourself as well.
And it brings people together,
Yes,
doesn't it?
it
When we sit around,
does.
when we share food, and when we,
And I love people, and I wasn't able to see any of you guys
Wonderful.
for like a whole year. So now I'm like, all of you, come and have a chat with me. Let's bond, let's be friends.
Tony, is there survivor's guilt? Is that a real thing?
Yes, it's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing, because Shereez, as you're going through treatment, you meet people who don't make it. And it's hard to get your head around what was the difference, and sort of what responsibility do I have now? Because
I have survived.
I have survived it, and I've gone through it. I don't know if you've experienced the same things. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Ah, Shereez. It's okay.
Sorry. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think that, you go through the process.
You make us all cry now.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You go through the process with people, and you're right. Like, there's almost a responsibility to live life to the fullest now, because of what you've experienced with other people's journeys. And I think the tough thing is, like, there were people that I had not even known go through this journey, and were in very similar positions to me, with a young child that had not made it. And it is probably the hardest part of the journey.
Okay. Yeah.
Is to get yourself into a position where you can try and process that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not easy.
No, I'm sure you had many experiences along the way.
Yes, yeah. And it's just a difficult one.
Shereez, is Reach for Recovery, is that part of I can make a difference now? I've been given another chance. I can make a difference now, because we sit here in privileged positions because we have medical aids.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can go and see the therapist if we feel angry or upset, but there are so many who don't. When they get, you're told you're going to have a double mastectomy, there's no option of, would you like reconstruction? Would you like some new boobs,
Sure.
So, yeah, I know you feel for them too. So tell us what Reach for Recovery does.
Sure. Yeah, that it's really, really difficult. And to be able to be a part of an organization like Reach for Recovery is really a privilege as well, because I feel like we're able to walk alongside women, but we're also able to help inform.
Yes, yes.
And I think that that's a big part of the processing, is when you know what your options are, when you know when you know about or hear about somebody else's journey or somebody else's road, it really does equip you to take on your own journey.
Yes.
Um,
There's a strength that comes from that, being united with others who've walked the same path as you.
Absolutely. And you have a support structure,
Yes.
a built-in support structure now, because everybody's family lives are also different.
Turned upside down.
Yeah, and just different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some people have a lot of family members, some people have no one. And so to be a part of this organization means that you have someone. In fact, you have a team of women that are going to rally around you, and we are going to be there, and we are going to be cheering you on every step of the way.
Wonderful.
And you can cry with us, you could share however you're feeling, and you know, therapy is a huge part of that. But to be able to, as a layperson, just stand around somebody who perhaps doesn't have the friendships or the closeness of family, to be able to do that with them is a huge privilege, and something that I think all of the girls that are part of Reach for Recovery don't take lightly at all.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that the, like you say, I mean, therapy's great, but sometimes you just need someone to listen.
Yeah.
Not to tell you, but you should do this or what. Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give them
absolutely.
space.
Absolutely. And also you can share however you feel with us, because that's exactly what we're going to be. We're just going to be around to hear however you're feeling in whatever moment you find yourself.
Yeah.
Tony, key takeaways from this conversation?
I think that one of the biggest things that everyone needs to realize is every journey is different. Like you say, you could be taking the same chemo and have completely different reactions to it. Your feelings may not be the same as the other person's feelings. You might be a fighter day in and day out, and there's another person who's just feels like they want to give up. So if people can understand that for themselves, like, I'm going to go in this and I'm going to do it my way, and whatever I'm feeling, I'm going to allow myself to feel. I'm not going to be saying to myself, well, I should or I shouldn't be feeling a certain way. This is my journey. And then I think also the other thing is to speak to other people struggling with cancer, who have survived cancer, and because that's where the shared experiences become the therapy.
Yeah. And the hope. I think hope is extended when you see someone else flourishing after having the same process that you have had. And I think that was a big factor for me as well, is to watch Jill and her energy and her just ability to love and live life the way she does, you know, after having gone through the same thing. So it really does just extend your hope, if you will.
And it's that idea, as you say, of cancer is not a death sentence.
Yes.
Because a lot of people hear that. They hear cancer and they hear, my life is over.
Yeah.
It's not a death sentence.
That's good.
The only thing that is, life's going to change in some ways, but that is life.
That's right.
And so it's just one day at a time. Yeah.
Shereez, key takeaways, advice that you would give from your changed position in life now?
I agree with Dr. Tony. I think that the biggest thing is to just have grace for yourself in the process, and allow yourself to feel all the feelings, to go through everything that you're going through, and to know that your journey is your journey. And also just give yourself a time period. If you're feeling upset, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling angry, that's okay. It's good to go through those feelings. But if you feel like those are overriding feelings and they are extended feelings, tell yourself, okay, cool. I've seen in the past 3 weeks, it's just been anger. Tomorrow, I'm going to allow myself to be angry for 3 hours, and then that's going to be it. You know, and again, like sometimes you just got to take things 1 minute at a time.
Yeah.
And then you can take things half an hour at a time and an hour at a time. And, you know, you can build your resistance to things that are not going to be beneficial to you moving forward. And you can do the same thing, build your build up to those things that are going to feed you and those things that are going to allow for you to get stronger through the process.
How old is your son now?
He's 3.
Oh, what a lovely age.
Oh, my
what
goodness,
a
it's so
beautiful
precious.
age. And his name, Shereez?
His name is Hunter.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Resources, Tony, Shereez, that we can advise for?
Well, I think something like, you know, these organizations, these cancer support organizations are extremely important, particularly when people don't have access to private health care.
Yes.
But even if you have access to
That's
private
right.
health care, you know, you don't have, that doesn't have to be the first port of call.
Yeah.
And in terms of formal counselling, there are, for instance, NMU has Euclid, which is a community clinic.
Okay, that's great.
So it's students who are being supervised. They are quite capable of working with people. So it's not that there's no counselling out there. There are a few. There's Revive, I think, is another resource. So there are options. And then also to look at support groups. I'm not sure if you have, but, you know, just for, you know, women to just sit and have a cup of coffee and talk about things can be so helpful.
Or even like Facebook groups. There really are support groups on Facebook. So if you don't necessarily want to see somebody face to face, you could just pop them a message and say, hey, I'm going through this.
Shereez, that's an interesting point, because I see, you know, in days of old, it was like cancer, or you didn't, if somebody had cancer, and there was a bit of a, you know, no, we don't talk about cancer. But now, and I see particularly women are go onto Facebook and they share. There are quite a few well-known, prominent ladies in GQ who have gone onto Facebook and shared their cancer journey with social media users. I don't see so many men. I don't know, or maybe it's just I have more female friends than men. I don't know, but that is that a type, Tony, that feels I want to put myself out there? Because it's great, because we do need to educate, and I think sharing is so important.
And to bring awareness, I think. And also for the person, it's an outlet.
Yeah.
It's a way to continually process not only what you're going through, but what you've been through. And it's a way to help people. Because I think being informed is the key. You know, raising awareness is the key. And even if you saw one post and then have later found out that you're going through this, you know where to revert back to. You could go back to that page, to that person, and have a look at, you know, how they did it, what they did.
And I would imagine, even if you wanted to message and say, I'm going through the same thing, any chance we can have a cup of coffee, that would be great.
I'm sure. There's a lot of people who put their cancer journeys into vlogs.
Yes.
Correct me, my technology is not always
very,
good.
very true.
But they actually take you through their journey,
Yes.
hospital appointments, treatments, doctors, and so forth. And I think that can be very helpful for people as well.
I agree. I had also initially started, and then I just got to a point where I was too weak. And essentially, I think for me, the motivation was for my son to one day see that his mom fought every day.
Yeah.
You know, so even if the end result was different, my son was going to be able to, when it was age appropriate, of course, to watch his mom fight.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So again, like, I think everybody has a different motivation, because sometimes it's motivating for themselves to do that, because then you see, okay, yesterday I experienced it this way, but today I'm feeling stronger. So it's just, it can just keep moving in that direction. So so I think that either way, I think it'll be super, super beneficial.
Yeah.
Anything we've left unsaid? Look, I think we could talk a lot more.
I will say one thing. You know, when cancer comes up, I don't know if you've had this experience, but suddenly conversations seem to revolve around it. And I hear a lot of people who are struggling with cancer saying, I wish someone would come over and we could talk about something else. Talk about the weather, talk about what they did on the weekend.
Yeah.
I need some space from this. I have this all the time. I want to be part of normal life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very true, because you're experiencing it every day. But when they come in, that's what they're experiencing, and so
and they feel they need to ask.
Yes.
You know.
And I think sometimes people just feel like that's what you're expecting
Yes.
as well, because
Yeah.
you're going through it.
Yes.
And to be honest, I think there's some people who do still feel like they want attention to, or want somebody to chat to what they're going through in that moment.
Sure.
But I agree. I think a majority of us just want to be talking about life and all the things that perhaps we're not able to do in that time, or just some normality.
Yeah, normality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's just to take you sort of out of that space, just for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you can go.
To forget about it.
So a lot of it, I mean, I think it's for everyone, but it's to find your voice and to say to people, I need this, I want that, please no, whatever. Find your voice, tell people what you want. You have every right to do so. People don't know unless you tell them. They can't read your mind.
Yeah.
You know.
That's good.
Tony, thank you for sharing your invaluable professional insights with us. It's a complex and it's such an emotional topic too, isn't it? And Shereez, you are an inspiration.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for the series. And I am going, you promised me a cup of coffee.
I did.
At Zest,
And
which
a
folk you'll find it on
chocolate
Main
croissant.
Road Warmer. It is Main Road Warmer. It's on Main Road Warmer, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
I think a lot of folk are going to be popping in to have a cup of coffee and a chat now, Shereez.
I love that. Please do.
Thank you. In our next episode, I am joined by researchers from Phoenix Pharma, Drs. Neil Milan and Zelda Pint, to take a look at where research is right now and to ask what the future holds in the fight against cancer, and to ask, will AI play a part in the next chapter? The Big C podcast is proudly brought to you by Algo FM. Till next time.